It was, I'm telling you, so close. And then, of course, the great Edwin Diaz, unfortunately, blows it after
Yes.
this. But I would say that, for me, sitting there watching Severino doing what he was doing, I'm like, this guy is in the middle of a bounce back season.
Yeah.
So again, I was looking for the silver lining, and he was one of the guys that we were all wondering about how he was going to pitch, and he's pitched well when you think about it for the New York Mets, and it's a shame that it's just whatever it is. If you're in a Met uniform, you're not pitching a no-hitter unless you throw 150 pitches. Let's face it.
And get a call on a foul and fair ball down the line.
And then shoulder or elbow surgery, and then you're out.
Yeah. I was obviously rooting for it. I was upset that I was in the car listening and not watching it because I really thought, I was like, man, I mean, this guy is dealing. He had something like when we turned the game on, like 78 pitches. He was in a good spot. I was like, well, they're not going to end up pulling him. You didn't have to worry about that part of it. And but whatever. And it really, what was the frustrating part was they end up blowing the game. After that, they're up 1-0, and the whole thing falls apart. But I mean, it really was amazing that the second we turned the game on the radio, the whole thing went to crap.
Right.
I was starting to believe in jinxes again. It's just stupid. And then you had the New York Yankees, too, as we were flipping back and forth to that, just not after an offensive explosion in the last couple of days. That was a classic That's Baseball Susan spot, because then you have a game where they can't muster anything offensively.
Well, and the thing about the Yankees is that this is the new Baltimore Orioles.
Yeah.
They have been on the rise for the last couple of years, and now all of a sudden are a completely different team. And this is going to be a team that will give the Yankees every ounce of their dollar back right in their face. You know what I mean? So the point is that this is a team that's been building. It's been bad. It's finally turned a corner. It's got new owners. There's a new feeling around the team down there. I have friends who are Oriole fans that have been in the, I don't know, I've been in the dark room for the last 15 years.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden they see the light at the end of the tunnel with some of their young players. And this is going to be a fight. It's like, it's kind of like, when the Tampa Bay Rays were really good and they were fighting the Yankees tooth and nail.
Sure.
And it was frustrating for Yankee fans because they would lose to this team that would spend 1/3, maybe 1/4 of the money that the Yankees would spend. But I would just say that when you look at the lineup of the Orioles, I mean, there's a lot of really good young players on this team. And this is now going to be the new rivalry, or I should say a rivalry renewed between these two teams, and it's going to go on for quite some time because the Yankees are going to spend, and the Orioles I kind of feel like they've built it the right way. I mean, they've gone through some really off and lean years, made some really good draft picks, and I don't say they're loaded, but I will say that they have to be a top 5 team right now in baseball.
Yeah, I mean, in last year, they just burst onto the scene, and everybody thought that they were going to collapse, and they didn't, and they've come back and been great again this year. And really the difference between the Rays and what the Orioles are doing now and the Yankees is when the Yankees had that influx of youth and guys that they had brought up, a lot of them didn't work out. From Greg Bird to Gary Sanchez. I mean, those baby bombers that were supposed to take over. And Gleyber Torres had a decent career, but he wasn't the guy that everybody expected, a perennial all-star. And Aaron Judge is really, and he's been amazing, but Aaron Judge was the only one that really panned out. Where you have these other teams that have 3, 4, 5 guys that they're calling up and being staples there for 10 years. And where the Yankees have to go out and trade for a guy like Juan Soto, and then Juan Soto, they got to trade for him to kind of replace some of the production that they lost through guys that didn't pan out.
Here's the thing with the Yankees. There is so much pressure for them to be good every year. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They have to be good every year. So they're never going to get the high draft picks. They're never going to go and, lose, 85 games and be in the middle. They're always going to be competitive. So these other teams can go through 3, 4, 5 years of having to rebuild, kind of like the Milwaukee Brewers, and then add a specific free agent here or there, and then they can build their team. And I think that's what the Mets are trying to do right now.
Yeah.
I think we all feel like that's what the Mets are, even though they do have legitimate big-time baseball players. It's this team 2 years from now is going to look so different.
Well, yeah, that's what they did at the trade deadline last year. You can't tell me that David Stearns wasn't advising the Mets when he didn't have the job.
You know what?
He definitely was.
Yeah, I think he was too. But the interesting thing watching the Cubs, who's their manager? Craig Counsell.
Yeah, right. The guy was supposed to be here.
Right, exactly.
And the Cubs paid him an insane amount of money. And there was just no reason to end up paying that amount, so they end up going in a different direction. But yeah, I mean, and I'm happy the Mets didn't break the bank on that, because that would have been one of those things that just felt like Steve Cohen was doing something to try to flex his financial muscle, because he wasn't going to be able to be allowed to do it with the roster with David Stearns in his first year. So, and it doesn't count against the luxury tax. So I'm happy managers are great. There's a couple of them that really make a difference, but most of them do not. So I'm really glad they didn't give him $100 million or whatever the hell the Cubs gave him.
I still have to get used to these city uniforms that they're wearing.
Yeah, we have a couple.
I know we do.
Yeah.
But like seeing it up close and personal is one thing, but seeing it with the white pants and the stripe and, everything gray and black.
And with the purple accent.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I like it, actually. I believe it or not, and I'm usually not someone who likes these third jerseys, but they're subtle enough for me to be happy with them. And it does have the flair of the 7 line, and it still has the pinstripes and the NYC that sort of has that New York Giants, baseball Giants font.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I like them. And I wasn't sure how I'd feel about them when I saw them on the players, because I got to look at it first just when they sent us the jerseys, but I like it. I mean, and all the problems that they've had with jerseys this year, like they actually look like better quality than the actual jerseys that they wear.
Well, I've done a Sports Minute on it.
Oh, have you?
I have, and not specifically the Mets uniform, but the problems that Nike and Fanatics have had, and how they basically are saying that they're in the midst of rectifying it, and all the shortages and all the different problems that have showed themselves are in the midst of getting fixed.
Good. Well,
so just to make everybody happy,
Well, yeah, I mean, they had to do something about that. All right, so where are you mentally tonight with the New York Knicks? Because
this is going to be first of all, I didn't know I was stepping into something yesterday when I brought up the fact that I was trying to be nice to Richard Jefferson.
Oh God, yeah.
I did not know. Like, I listened to it. I don't get perturbed by it. It's a national broadcast. It's not Breen. It's not Clyde. It's not Wally. It's not the guys that know the team. And I kind of understand that. And I try not to get upset by anything that they say, because it really doesn't matter what they say. That they're calling a game how they see it. Now, I know you told me yesterday he may hate the Knicks, and maybe he does.
Oh, he does.
All right. Okay. All right. So
100% does.
You have basically now said that it's a done deal. He hates the Knicks.
I think 100% that hate is a strong word, but he dislikes the Knicks. And here's the difference, because I know exactly what you're saying, and I have talked fans off of this for years when they think that someone like Joe Buck hates their team or Troy Aikman is only rooting for the Cowboys. And I say that they're wrong. That's not what it is. You're just used to maybe your own broadcasters, and then when you get a national broadcast, you're upset about it because they're not pumping your team up like if it's baseball, like Gary Cohen or Howie Rosewood. So I've always taken your side of that with the Richard Jefferson thing in other instances. However, Richard Jefferson takes it to a whole nother level.
All right, so I don't necessarily hear it the same way some other people hear it, but what's amazing to me is that he is in an ex-beef with the great Ben Stiller, of all people.
That's right, back and forth.
I love Ben Stiller. I mean, and Ben Stiller's going back and forth, and I guess... Look, we all know that Embiid gets foul calls. We all know that Embiid whines to the officials constantly during the game. We also know that he has turned into a dirty player, especially in this series. Mm-hmm. I mean, and it is intense, and there is no question about that. That's one of the reasons why I love the fact that guys like Anunoby and Achua and Hart and Brunson are not afraid to go down in there and go run into him. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I kind of enjoy all of this, but I had no idea that there was this much disdain for Richard Jefferson. I tried to take his side yesterday, and man, you would have thought that I was defending Adolf Hitler or something, for God's sake. I mean,
the Knicks fan is upset, man.
Oh,
they
God,
are
kidding.
pissed, and which I love the passion about it. But I mean, I felt the same way. And also Richard Jefferson being the net that he was, and you just know that he probably had that inferiority complex all those years when they were having success and nobody cared about the Nets even when they were winning. Right. I mean, he just has this thing against the Knicks, which is fine, but you got to drop that crap when you're calling the game.
Here's the thing. That would be like Pittsburgh Steelers fans being mad at me because I was a Bengal. Maybe Patriot fans mad at me because I was a Jet. Maybe the Cleveland Browns fans mad at me when I would say,
but you would call the game professionally. That's the difference. Is like you would be objective calling the games, and people would probably just assume you were against their team when you weren't. And if you play some of the clips back, say, "Listen, I'm just being objective. I'm criticizing this side. I'm criticizing that side." Richard Jefferson just makes it clear.
I mean, I must not be listening.
I mean, you feel like he wants the Sixers to win.
I really must not be listening close enough.
Well, yeah, maybe not. I don't know.
Because we don't get him a lot. I mean, I don't know.
He sounds annoyed that the Knicks are good. He just sounds. I don't know.
Are you real? I mean, obviously Ben Stiller thinks so.
Well, yeah. I mean, most Knicks fans think so. And I'm telling you, it's not one of these things where the Knicks fan is being overly sensitive. I mean, it is clear.
Okay, all right.
This guy can't drop his hatred of the Knicks and call the game objectively.
Look, I am not even going to argue it because I can't. There's just too many people that would want to argue this point.
Yeah.
And so for me, all I think about is do whatever you need to do to win the game tonight.
Yes.
And play with and I know the Knicks will. And the Garden is going to be on fire tonight.
No, this is a must-win, must-crush, must-embarrass the Sixers type of night. I mean, this is send them in to the second round with authority, with style. Don't get dragged down into the mud with the Embiid stuff. No injuries, no stupid ejections or flagrant twos or whatever, because you know that stuff's going to go on. If the Knicks are winning in the fourth quarter in this game, you know the Sixers, and especially Embiid, are going to go dirty, and you can't fall into that. I'm sure that Tibbs is telling the team all of that. I mean, but I want this to be a statement game for the Knicks, where not only did we beat you, we took care of you in 5, and you're walking out of here with your head down after you guaranteed that you were going to win the series. I mean, that's going to be, and I have full confidence. I mean, I said after they lost Game 3 that I thought the Knicks were going to win in 5. So I don't think there's anything wrong in being confident in the team. I am not cocky about them, but I am confident in what I've seen in this series that the Knicks are the better team, and they're going to win tonight at home.